This is Harry Radford from Yashin, singer.
Kevin Miles, also from Yashin, funnily enough.
Yep.
And also a vocalist.
I've got something to say, so listen closely. Under my skin there's something happening.
Yeah, we've been gone for how many months do you think?
Probably 18 months.
18 months. You know, we released Put Your Hands Where I Can See Them shortly after we released We Created a Monster. But with this album we realized how important it was, and we took a lot of time to write it, to make the best one that we could write, the best one we could do. But yeah, it's been a long process.
The band's writing process kind of changed slightly. It was like before we used to just write as many songs as we needed for an album, but this time around we kind of decided that we had a lot more in us and we were going to try and kind of expand on our writing style, and people who wouldn't normally have taken the floor in terms of creative input kind of came at the table, like our bass player Andy and Dave, our drummer. Like Paul's always kind of been like the main driving force behind the tunes, but we spent a lot of time working with various producers. 6 different producers were involved in like the demoing process alone for this album. Everyone from like Joe and Sam Graves and With One Last Breath to Terry Date, who mixed Pantera, Limp Bizkit, Deftones, Korn, Slipknot. The list is just endless. So it was just one of those things that we needed to take our time over it and make sure we got it right. So that's where we've been, and here we are. So
sound-wise, you know, we still sound like the band that we did when we released, you know, Put Your Hands Where I Can See Them. I think we've just evolved in the correct way with each album. But I think we've more so evolved doing this album because we've worked harder and spent longer on the songs, you know. I don't know if it's what we've been particularly listening to. I think it's just us maturing as songwriters, you know. Like Kev said in the past, like Paul will normally bring, in the past Paul have normally brought the initial music idea, then I would bring the initial vocals and melodies idea. But especially with this album, it's been everywhere, you know. Paul still does bring the music ideas, but Kev has brought musical ideas to the table, Andy's brought musical ideas to the table, just because we've worked double hard and wanted to get the best out of everything that we could and everyone to be happy.
The thing is, it's still the 6 of us, and it's still very much identifiable as Yashin. People are still going to hear it. I think, like Paul used to say back in the day, like Yashin were an original band in an unoriginal genre, and in terms of the fact that there's a lot of bands kind of do what we do, but we still felt that we were a standout band in terms of that sort of sub-pool that we came under. And I think that sound is still very much evident in it. It's slightly darker, it's slightly more mature, but it's still fucking heavy and it's still really catchy, so it's still got that element of it there. So
when Kev and I hear a song, we normally agree on where we think it should be heavier, where there should be screaming, and where there should be singing. You know, sometimes Kev will hear something and he'll just be dialed in of like, he'll just bring something to the table and it's perfect because, you know, he can just hear it. And then other times, you know, I'll bring an initial idea of screaming and singing and he'll like it, or we'll either like it and change little parts. But we normally agree where things should be heavier and where things should be clean.
it's quite funny. It was like when we first started, it was like me and Harry were very regimental, and like Harry stuck to the singing and the clean stuff, and I stuck to the screaming and the heavy stuff. And like Harry says, we had this sort of unwritten agreement that like what went where. But when we started writing the new album, it was kind of like, unbeknownst to us, like we kind of unintentionally started like crossing over, and Harry was like coming out with all these like crazy like screaming rhythms and melodies and stuff like that, and I was just like where the hell did that come from? Like me and Harry's influences like couldn't be further apart, or poles apart, and like where the two of them come from. And like by the same token, like some of the clean stuff, it's came from like myself and Andy and Paul who kind of chip melodies in and stuff like that. But yeah, I think me and Harry have got a relationship where we just kind of like work with each other, and it's just 9 times out of 10 it goes the way it wants it to.
Yeah.
Another time it just gets put in the fucking bin. So
well, being on the road with us, I don't know, everyone's very, very different, and that's how we've always been. I think everyone just does their own thing, and we've toured so long now that everyone just gets on with it, and people know when to leave other people alone. You know, people know when to have a laugh, but you know, you'll always know where to find certain members just from how they always are, I guess. Like, and obviously Andy's like actually drives most of the time, so we still bother him all the time when he's driving.
You know what he's gonna be.
Kev's normally like playing games normally on his like Nintendo or his DS, I think it is. Paul's always in his bunk with a KFC and a DVD that he's watching because he never finishes a DVD. He just keeps watching bits and rewinding it because he's got a bad memory. He's like 40 now. He's got bad memory. Connor, I just bully Connor because I'm bored and I'm a little kid.
Connor's the new kid in the band,
I just
so
bother
he's
Connor
like,
all the time.
Yeah.
And just put my feet over onto his bed and pull his hair and shit. And yeah, I don't know, I'm just loud and how I normally am, and and Dave is quiet.
Dave's he's a clean freak. He's always tidy in the bus and stuff like that. He's always up and cleaning the
But when he
place
wants to have a laugh, he's normally the center of attention because he's the funniest guy in the band when he wants
punishes
to be.
himself sometimes though. I don't know why. Like, he'll be sitting in the back of the van and like it's absolutely roasting, and you're like, Dave, do you want this electric fan that's blowing ice cold air in my face? No, I don't want that. I don't want that. Why? It's just he punishes himself. I think he's a bit of a. I think he likes to be dominated. Like maybe he's like dominatrix kind of wants somebody to just batter him, and that's why he just like punishes himself. Sometimes I walk into the hotel room and I find himself like he's like bent over the bed and he's like spanking himself and like punching himself in the face.
He's got a belt around his neck.
Yeah.
I don't know, the ethos behind Yashin. We're a band that, you know, have always not really done things the way that I guess everyone else does, or the majority of other people. You know, we're a band that live for the road and writing music, and we're really passionate about our music. You know, I guess that's why one of the reasons we called the new album The Renegades, which is going to be coming out in September, which is like, you know, in this world now, and especially in this scene and in just normal life, it's weird how a lot of people make people feel bad for the things that make them happy. But this is what we love, and we have our hearts on our sleeves. You can hear it in our lyrics. Like, we may be like feel a bit like outsiders, but this is what we love, and we're gonna carry on doing what we love.
I think it was kind of, we've been an unsigned band for 3-4 years now, because we have a vision for what Yashin should be, and we've had offers on the table in the past for We Created a Monster, and we never put pen and paper on any of them because these labels didn't share the vision that we had for the band and the way we want to interact with our fans when we're out on tour and stuff like that. And Transcend picked us up at the start of the year, and they were the first label that were just like, we see where you guys are coming from, like we get this ethos that the band has, and that's just where we wanted to be with it, so it's paid off for us majorly.